Hello everyone. I had a lot of fun making that last Tekken and Coffee, so I wanted to do another one today. Why not? It's a lazy Sunday. We're going to be looking at Reddit again today, but before we get to these regular questions, and it looks like there's going to be some really good ones, I wanted to talk briefly about another question that I found on Reddit that I thought was pretty funny. Now, this is something that was sent to me, and by the time it had already been deleted, so we can't really see what it says. But if you Google for it, you can sort of still see it in the Google search, and it's basically a person questioning whether or not I am legit at the rank I play at. And I think I'm basically being accused of save scumming or cheating. Now, the accusations or the suspicious activities apparently that I ranked up a little bit too fast here in Europe, and then when you look at my gameplay videos, instead of entire long matches, it tends to be highlights, right? Now, I don't know why that's suspicious, but I can tell you why I do it. It's because I'm not a Twitch streamer. So when I stop playing, Twitch doesn't create this giant VOD of all my matches for me with me on camera and a chat rolling and people talking about what's happening and music and everything else. Because I play off stream, what I have to do is save games to my replays and then pick from there and record them with screen capture. Now, I don't even play with in-game music, so those games have no camera, no chat, not even any music. And if I just upload those as they are, it would make for very long, very uninteresting videos. So what I do instead is I save a game to my replays when something cool happens, and then I go back and I pick a couple of cool moments and I cut that together. Mainly because I want to showcase the characters that I'm playing, because I want people to be excited about the characters that I love, and then maybe, they watch a guide or some sort of tutorial content that I've made on those characters. But what I thought was really sweet about this is that a bunch of people have replied, and everybody is defending me on my behalf, which I thought was really sweet. Apparently I've played this game for long enough with enough integrity that people seem to trust me, so I just thought that was really cool. There is something that we do have to talk about, though. There is something that I have sort of been hiding, and I think now might be the time to talk about it. And if you are the person who made this post, then maybe you should be sitting down for this. What I want you to understand here, and the really important thing, is that this does not mean that your mother loves you any less. She loves you very much, and she talks about it all the time. But basically, her and I have been in a pretty serious relationship for a while now, and I'm sort of tired of hiding it, because I'm not ashamed. We love each other, and I think it's very beautiful. And you had this strong reaction to me ranking up really fast for some reason, but that's actually how we met as well, because she was like, wow, you have this high rank already. Do you want to make sweet, passionate love in my son's bed? And I was like, is he going to be upset about that? Will he mind? But she basically explained that you are a bit of a green rank pussy, so we went ahead. But once we're finally, living together and we're becoming a proper family, maybe we can spend some proper, stepfather and son time together, some quality time, and I can show you how to get a high rank in this game, and I can teach you all about the game. But, until that very special day that I'm very much looking forward to, stay in your fucking lane, kid. Alright, let's get back to our regular programming. Health bar in Tekken 7 determines combo longevity. I was watching TMM and noticed a small detail where the health bar would go down but not fill up all the way until the combo seemed to be over. Is this a mechanic that high-level players use when their opponent is still being comboed, or am I just seeing something that's not there? So I think what the person is referring to here is a red health, or the red stuff on the health bar. And that is something that you can use to know whether or not a combo has actually ended, even though it will not always give you completely accurate information. So what happens is you start comboing somebody and the health goes down, and the red that remains on the bar is there to indicate how much damage that combo did, because you don't get it in numbers unless you're in practice mode, right? Now, I think for the most part, high-level players actually just know when something is a true combo or not. They know the situations, they know everything about that, so they know the combos that they can create, and they're not looking up there for any kind of information, really. But there are examples of when there will be red health, and that will end and go down, but the combo is still going. That happens in, one of my favorite things about comboing in Tekken is that you can get these really cool unscaled enders that I love, and the characters that I play tend to have them. I think they're super useful and super cool. So what's happening in them, in these combos, is basically the combo has technically ended, but then you can do some sort of hit that just in that situation when the combo is ending is guaranteed. So, you can basically count it as part of the combo. It's a real combo. It's inescapable in every single way, and it will work, right? So you can kind of think of it like when you hit with some moves, or you get a counter hit with some moves, you can get guaranteed stuff on the ground in this game. And sometimes it shows up on your combo counter, but sometimes it doesn't, but it's still completely guaranteed. It's kind of like that. So a couple of examples, Gigas' Excavator is like the famous example from Tekken 7 back in the day. But if you look at my characters, Negan has no exceptions. Zafina has Cursed Crow. Bob has 4-3, 3+4. Raven has an amazing new ender that I think started working in season 3 or 4. It's new to her. Up forward 3+4, delay 3+4, which is like a 12 damage hit, I think, on the final hit, which is the same damage that Negan gets. It's super high, so it's really good for shoring up combo damage. Oscar has another one, I think. I don't know the input, it might be back 4-2-3 or something like that, but it's like a 3-hit string. The cool thing about that one is that you have to do a very specific delay to get that to work, and it's kind of hard. I was kind of teaching myself how to combo with Oscar the other day, just for fun in practice mode, and it's kind of specific to get it, but it looks like when you mess it up, it's still combos, so you still get damage, just not as much damage as you would get if you get it right. So that might be a really, friendly one to practice. You're kind of allowed to mess it up, but you get a bonus and a bit more damage when you get it right. It's kind of like a just frame in a way. But if you're curious whether or not something is a combo, you can also go into practice mode and test it, and you can look at the combo counter on the side. It will count the damage of a single combo, and then it will stop counting when the combo has ended, because you dropped it along the way, or because you can't continue. But be aware of those cases with those guaranteed unscaled enders and things like that, because something can be a combo even though the combo counter and the red health and the health bar aren't indicating it. So you have to play a lot, especially with your own characters, and know what is a combo, and just be aware of the situations. It's kind of rare these days that you play online against somebody and they do a combo that you haven't seen before or eaten before. Can't sidestep properly. I keep trying to practice sidestepping to evade my opponent's moves. I take it into practice mode and I try to sidestep out of the way of the CPU's attacks. Even when I set one specific move combo on repeat for the CPU, I still struggle to sidestep out of the way. I still get hit. Okay, so I always play Jin, just for the record, so that's fine. Jin is a pretty standard size character. He can move to the side and he can backdash, just normally. There are a couple of characters in the game, like if you're practicing sidestepping with maybe Kuma or Jack or Gigas, it's going to be much harder to be evasive because of the size of the character. But Jin is fine. Can do a lot of evasive movement if he wants to. Now, the thing to understand about sidesteps, first of all, is that there will always be a slight delay between you doing the input and the actual evasion happening on screen. And the reason for that is, it sort of makes sense when you think about how the sidestep input works, because you sidestep by tapping up or down, but if you hold that input down, you will either jump or crouch. So the game, to be able to understand, to be able to know that what you're doing is a sidestep, it has to register when you let go of the directional button, not when you press it, because it's when you let go that the game can know that it's a tap and you're not holding the button, right? Which means that it's when you let go that the step happens, and that causes a bit of a delay. Usually when you do a move, you press your one button and your character does a jab when the button is pressed, not when you let go of it. So that's one thing to get used to. And I think maybe you should try and play around with your timing. Some moves track very well to one side. Some moves just can't really be stepped, but try stepping to both sides and play around with that. Play around with your timing. Another thing about sidesteps is, I've talked about it before, but it's really dependent on how much space you have between yourself and the opponent. So you can think about it this way. If you're outside and you just plant a pole in the ground and you're standing right next to that pole and you have to walk around it as fast as you can, You can do that in like a few seconds if you're very close to it. But if you're like, 100 meters away and you have to walk a lap around that pole and you always have to stand or be 100 meters away, you can't get any closer, it might take, much, much longer the further away you are. So basically, what I mean is that you're much more evasive with your stepping, with your sideways movement when you're closer to the opponent, which means that because attack animations in the game tend to advance the character who is attacking, and it's especially true when we're talking about, those important running moves or dash moves that you have to step, like a running 1+2 from Noctis is a good example. You really want to step late, and you want to step late because when you do it late, the opponent is locked into the axis that they are moving on, and they're close to you, and that's going to maximize the evasiveness of the sidestep. So make sure that you're close to your opponent. Make sure that you play around with the timing until you find it. It could be very specific. And also keep in mind that sidewalk and sidestep are different in this game. This is kind of interesting. Some moves can be stepped but can't be walked. Some moves can be walked but can't be stepped. So the difference is that because you have to tap and then hold to walk, that takes a bit longer and it's not as fast as stepping. But when you walk, you can be more evasive and you can cover more ground, and that's why it's important to walk when somebody's doing, a big running move or maybe a 2 or even a 3-hit string, because you can get all kinds of, evasion. You can go behind them quite easily with walking, right? So, if you're struggling to step a move, try walking it. If you're struggling to walk a move, maybe try stepping it. And also keep in mind that you should always be going both directions, because a lot of moves in Tekken are designed to where they follow the opponent to one side, and so it becomes a little bit of a mind game, right? I think the opponent is going to do this, or the opponent tends to do this a lot, so I'm going to go this direction, and then if the opponent knows that, they can use a move that catches you when you go in that direction. Negan, for example, who is on screen here, I think they made it so that his jab goes one way, but his down forward one goes another. So important when you're poking, right? So hard to meet my rank at Genbu. Everyone is either 300,000 prowess purple name. I've seen 2 at my prowess today. 1 was legit. I've seen him since like yellow and so on. Now this is something that I actually completely agree with. I think what the person is saying that, okay, I'm trying to play at Genbu rank. I'm matching up against all these people who are obviously much better than that. Now, I see the word Smurf thrown around a lot, and for me, the idea of a Smurf is like somebody who intentionally plays at a lower level or a lower rank because they like to just gank people for fun. And that's not what's happening here, and I think we should actually be more frustrated with the way the system works and not with the players who, have a lot of prowess or a high rank but play at another rank. Because what happens is, you get a really high rank, and then your characters start at maybe Suzaku, or maybe they start at Mighty Ruler, which is, quite a way down from the very top rank, right? But if I'm at a high rank and I want to learn a new character or start to play a new character, I have to start there. And of course, an advanced player has better fundamentals and knows more, so they're still going to be able to win against, a person who is at Genbu with almost any character, but they're still trying to figure out this new character that they want to learn and rank up a bit, so they make mistakes, and it's a bit of a weird situation, right? But I can completely understand the frustration, because you have a bunch of people who are very high rank, and whenever they get bored and want to try something new, they have to go down and play with people who are at a lower rank, and then the people at that rank have to suffer because of that. I personally think that the gap should be smaller. I think, you could start people who have gotten to, the top ranks maybe at Fujin, because I think even if you're new with a character, if you do a bit of practice, you can sort of hold your own around Fujin. And I think maybe that's a little bit more appropriate. But I completely understand what you mean. Just keep in mind when you play someone who seems to be very advanced for the rank, that they're not doing it because they're trying to be mean to you. That's the only choice they have to play that character until they've ranked it up, So I don't think it's people out to frustrate or gank or anything like that. I think it's just a property of the system. But I agree that it's not perfect, and I would personally prefer if your alternative characters started lower, but not as low. 40-second guide to Lydia. I think that's all the time you need. I can give you a 1-second guide to Lydia that can get you anywhere with her. Do shit. That's a pretty complete guide to that character. Yoshimitsu hand to hand. Do any of my Yoshi fam go hand to hand when they're 2-0? I don't know if that's like a Yoshi cultural thing. It's cool that we have like some pocket cultures and player communities around the game, and I'm not on Discord or anything like that, so I don't know much about it. I play a lot of Elisa, so we have a lot of people who joke about feet and vampire stuff and whatever, but I know a lot of good Yoshimitsu players who go hand to hand or put the sword away because they just want to be in that stance, because they like it, because it gives them some advantages, some punishment stuff, and some lows become more powerful. It changes flash. So I think understanding no sword stance is probably a key to Yoshi, but I don't know much about that character. Basically never touched him so far. Maybe I will at some point. Holy Tekken fuck. Tekken 7 is the first Tekken game I seriously played, and holy fucking shit, the amount of stuff I had to learn just to be above intermediate was astonishing. I love this fucking game. I think this is a person who's gonna eventually be pretty good at Tekken, because there are kind of two ways of looking at it when people start to understand how big this game is and how much stuff you have to learn. You have people who become very frustrated and complain and want it to be more casual or easier. See people getting so frustrated and pissed, eating snake edges online. And then you have people who realize just how girthy it is, and they get excited about it and they get hooked. And I think, for a lot of people, Tekken is not always enjoyable. It's not always something that you do for fun, but it is compelling, and it's an addiction, and we keep going because, we're driven to, in a way. And I caught that bug playing this game with my friends offline, and I just wanted to be good at it, so I kept going. It sounds like this person, and I mean, most people who play the game who I've talked to, they have this same feeling when there's something where they just start caring about getting better, and that's then you're on the path, the path to progress. So I'm glad to hear it. Loving Steve's gameplay, but I'm a newbie. Good character to learn fundamentals and eventually move into Steve. I'd say honestly, just keep playing Steve. If you want to be good with Steve, just keep playing him. Steve is kind of an advanced character, but there's nothing unique or weird about his fundamentals that means that he's a bad character to learn fundamentals with. He backdashes same as another character. He's got punishment, a little bit unorthodox with the while standing stuff and whatever, but good jabs, and you sidestep with him, but you have a bit of alternative evasion options with his sways and stuff. But I think instead of like trying to learn fundamentals with a basic character then moving on to Steve, keep trying to do those things with Steve, and then a week from now, or however long it takes, you'll be able to do them instead. And I think that's what I would recommend. But there are some characters that are like super advanced that might not be ideal to start out with. Personally, I don't recommend that people start with Mishimas. You could definitely if you like them, but I think the electric is, and some other stuff that is kind of difficult to do, is kind of central to playing those characters. So you have to learn it before you really see how the character plays. But I think just keep trying to learn the things you want to learn, and then that's probably the fastest way to learn them. To all the Hachi players out there, why does nobody use single hell sweep? It's +8 unseeable low that forces crouch on the opponent. I do see some Hachi players who do a single hell sweep, kind of like a poke against me. It's kind of interesting. I mean, if that's how it works, the reason probably that people don't do it so often is they take the risk of getting a hell sweep blocked. But then again, there are plenty of characters who use strong low pokes despite the fact that they are launch punishable. Back 1+2 for Zafina, down back 3+4 for Bob, down back 3 for Feng. There are a bunch of them out there. Lee, of course. So yeah, it's probably an interesting idea. I don't play Heihachi, but if I did, I would probably at least experiment with it and see, if it felt useful. Why is Elisa such a polarizing character? I was actually surprised by this as well, because when I started making YouTube videos about Tekken, I made one on her, some sort of guide or something, and it had more dislikes than I usually get. So I was like, did I make a mistake? Was the quality bad or something? It turns out it was because people just don't like this character, which I didn't know. But then I've played against a lot of Elisas since then, some really good and annoying ones, and I kind of get it now. There's a lot of big lows, there's a lot of down 3, There's a lot of, down back four, sometimes a bunch of snake edges, a lot of like throw stuff that is a bit extra annoying with the full crouch throw and the head stuff, and then flying in from full screen and mixing with that. And the chainsaws that have just progressively gotten so good. They're so much better than they've been right now. So I sort of get it now. I think Elisa is a bit of an annoying character to play against. But I don't think she's like super, super strong or anything. So I would worry more about just actually working a lot on the matchup. And you could get it to a point where she's going to be less annoying. Still strong. It's still a good character, but she's not like top tier. So it's probably more about, trying to stay focused and not make mistakes and doing the punishment and the stuff that you're supposed to do against her. And I think you'll do a lot better. But, I have characters I feel the same way about. Roast Kunimitsu to a Kunimitsu main who isn't going to argue with you or downplay her at all. I think Kunimitsu is a hard carry character in this game, and it's almost sad to say, all these people out there who like love this design and are like super excited about playing a lot of Kunimitsu with the beautiful animations and the outfit and everything, and then you have to hear people like me say that she's an unfair and overpowered character. But it's just, I think, pretty obvious that it's true. Spaghetti Rip was talking about it on his stream yesterday, and made some pretty good points about it. But I think she's very, very good, and it's almost kind of sad because there are people who legit just want to enjoy the character. Felt the same way about Leroy. Really, really cool idea, and then just failed in the balancing. Kind of how to teabag. If you know anything about teabagging in T7, write it here. So I recommend using down back for your input, because what you can do, not that I teabag in games and stuff a lot, but you can hold back and buffer the back, and then you can sort of oscillate on the down input and get a really nice speed on your teabag. If you're making actual tea, then I'm not very patient with it. I usually stick the tea bag in, and then I'll use a small spoon or something to press it against the side of the cup. I know some people have an advanced move where they kind of wind the string around the spoon and squeeze it that way. I don't have a lot of experience with that specific technique. Maybe I'll go into practice mode with it a little bit later. But just as press it a bit with a spoon, no milk, no sugar. How to electric consistently on keyboard. I wish I knew and I could tell you, but there are, if you want to know about how to do electrics and stuff, there are so many great content creators and players who specialize so heavily in it that you should really look for content from them. But keyboard, I've never used it. It seems really awkward. But then you have people, doing really well on key-based sticks or controllers, mix boxes and stuff, and they're apparently very useful in some ways. So it's probably perfectly possible. I'd recommend looking into a stick or a pad, though. Am I the only one who's been waiting for Roger Jr.? No, I actually think Roger is super cool. I like Alex too. I actually practiced those two as a tag team in Tag 2, and there's some really interesting stuff. They have grappling. It's the first character that I ever practiced wave dashing with in the game. And they have those crazy lows. Is it down back too, the foot punch? And then they had, I think it was down forward or down back 3+4, which is the tail low, which is insane. It's kind of like Zafina's back 1+2, but even better. So some really cool, interesting moves, and Armor King style throws, and they're very Armor King-esque. And in the story, I think they have a relationship with Armor King. I think he taught them how to fight. So I think these characters are awesome. It would be super interesting to see them, because it's kind of an interesting mashing of archetypes. And I'm kind of into Bob right now, and there's some crossover there. It's kind of like Bob with some more grappling. Could be super fun. But obviously, if they come out, it would depend on whether or not they're going to do bad balancing again. But if they don't, I'd love to play them. All right. What kind of animal is your non-animal Tekken character? I'll give you a few examples. Brian is a wolf. Well, I think Miguel is probably a bull. Fits him. Zafina would have to be some sort of arthropod. I think a scorpion would fit. I actually think that tarantula stance should be called scorpion stance, because when she's crawling, she's attacking with claws in the front, and her leg goes over the top like a sting. So maybe a scorpion. Bob would have to be like something that is big and fat and heavy, but surprisingly, you know, agile and fast. So maybe something like a killer whale or an orca. And Negan, I guess, something that is intelligent enough that it can enjoy being a bit of a shithead, and he's also swinging around a big stick. So some sort of great ape or some sort of a very intelligent primate, maybe. I don't know. Do you consider Kunimitsu to be top tier? I do. I mean, we talked about it. I used to think that she was the absolute #1 in the game when she came out. Now I don't know, you know. There's Akuma, there's Lydia, Devlin, bunch of really good characters. But she's sort of up there, and I would probably place her in top 3 or top 4. She's definitely extremely good. Thoughts on Kunimitsu? Like, people are really worrying about this. I think the reason for that is they know, and this is the really sad part, right? I think you know when you're playing a character that is unfair, because you're playing at a certain level, doing certain things, and then all of a sudden you switch character and you're doing much, much better. Is it really likely that you just made some sort of huge improvement? I mean, it could be down to you picking a new character that is more your style, or, you know, you're learning new things. Who knows? But yeah, again, it is kind of sad with Kunimitsu, because the animations and everything, you know, it's really cool. And I like her in Tag 2. If she comes back in future games, I would want it to be the mother, mother though, and not the daughter. I thought that was kind of a unnecessary thing they did, but there you go. I think I might leave it there. I don't know how long I've been going for. Hopefully it was interesting. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again very soon.